Good morning, everybody. Side Gig Guy here. It's day 2 of our road trip. Right now we're in Enterprise, Alabama, and we're going to be headed towards Valdosta, Georgia. And yesterday I mentioned a purpose for this video was going to be to demonstrate 2 features that DoorDash has in their app. And of course, to see also if we could make enough money to make this road trip work, which, by the way, I think we're going to be able to, even though we had a big shortfall. Remember, this is a 2-night, 3-day journey. So even though we didn't make enough to cover our expenses tonight, and we may not make enough to cover our expenses for Friday night, we've got all day Saturday to go home, and we don't have any expenses to cover except for gas, because we'll just sleep in our own bed. So we'll probably be just fine, but we'll wait until we get there and we'll see. On to those features I was talking about. There's 2 features that DoorDash has. One is called Dash Along the Way. I'll cover that one first. With Dash Along the Way, you don't have to dash in the zone that you're in. Let's say, for example, the zone that you're in is not busy. It's grayed out. You can select a neighboring zone, a zone that's around your zone that's grayed out, and then you can dash along the way to it, provided one of 2 things. First, that zone also has to be at least slightly busy. It has to be pink, I like to call it. In other words, it doesn't need to say the word busy on it, but it does need to at least be illuminated pink and not gray. That's the only way you can dash along the way to a zone. And then number 2, it has to be the adjacent zone, or if it isn't the adjacent zone, it needs to be relatively close. And that's another thing I'm trying to figure out, is exactly how close, because the zones out here in Alabama and southern Georgia that I'm in are pretty spaced out. So I'm trying to figure out what that distance is to where it will allow you to dash. I know 20 miles is acceptable. So if you're within 20 miles, you can dash to it. You don't even have to be in an adjacent zone, as long as it's pink. And one thing I want to cover about these colors of the zones, I'm sure you're familiar with them. Grayed is not busy. Unless you're a top dasher, you can't dash in a gray zone unless you've scheduled yourself to dash then. Then there's the pink. It doesn't say it's busy, but it's kind of illuminated a little bit red, pinkish. Then there's busy. Busy is red, and you can always dash in a busy zone. You can always dash in a pink zone too. And then there's very busy, which you don't see very much except when it is very busy. And obviously you can dash in a very busy zone. But there is one caveat that a lot of you probably don't know, especially those of you that aren't a top dasher. Just because a zone is gray doesn't mean there aren't any orders. Every morning I get up between 4 and 5 in the morning and I log into my zone. And my zone is gray, and I dash. Usually orders will come in within 5 or 10 minutes. So there's work out there, but for some reason the DoorDash algorithm hasn't quite clicked in. I didn't explain it yesterday, and so that's why I wanted to cover it today. Let's go ahead and get started. You can see the dash cam video there. That's the hotel that I stayed at. I'm probably only going to give this about 3 stars. I'm very loyal to Marriott. I like Marriott's a lot. The room was clean. The facility was nice. The reason I'm going to knock it down a couple stars was the hot breakfast, the advertised hot breakfast. And when you think hot breakfast, you think, you're going to get some eggs, you're going to get some maybe bacon or sausage, and then maybe some pancake mix, or even waffle mix is kind of nice too. Their hot breakfast, I'll put a picture up, is little quarter-sized, literally, they called them breakfast sliders. They were smaller than a slider. They were little, maybe they were a 50-cent piece size, if you've ever seen one of those. Sausage patties, and then little tiny buns on them. I grabbed one, and I'm not big on carbs, so I just ate the meat. And I was like, well, I guess I need about 4 of these, so I grabbed 4 more and ate them. And then I also grabbed some food for the road. They had some bananas, so I grabbed a banana, and I found their yogurt, and I got the yogurt. So that's how you make advantage of a free breakfast, by the way, if you're on the road. But this one didn't really get to fill up very much, and there wasn't much to bring with me. So as I've been traveling out of way from my starting point, my new zones are not lighting up. And support keeps telling me that I need to go into schedule and change my start point. And I've been following their directions, and of course they give the same canned response every time. You can't change your starting point in the app. Now they're claiming that as soon as I complete a dash in a new area, it will update. So I'm kind of at the end of my rope here. I've got Enterprise and Dothan, and then there's nothing any further east of Dothan for zones. So I'm going to try and complete a dash here in Enterprise. I'm going to try and complete a dash in Dothan. And then if nothing else lights up, I'm going to have to call them again and see if they can update it. They did this for me yesterday. Yesterday, I called in and got a support person, and I was near Auburn, Alabama, and literally at the click of a button, my map changed, and all of a sudden, all these new zones lit up. And the only thing I can think of that's different is that I did dash relatively close to Auburn yesterday. So maybe that has something to do with it. Whereas here, I haven't completed a single order in Enterprise or in Dothan yet. My last completed order was way up in Tuskegee. So let's get a couple orders banged out, and then we'll deal with our zones. This is the dash I did in Enterprise for $4.75. Then we went to Dothan, and I did one delivery there for $9.25. The offer card looked a little strange.
Hello, Jeffrey. I'm pretty good. Thank you so much for asking. How are you today?
I'm doing good. This is day 2 of my road trip across the south of the United States, so it's going pretty well.
Let me know, how can I have the pleasure to help you?
So I ran into a small problem, and yesterday they did this for me. I need to change my starting point because I've run out of zones as I'm traveling east, and I can't dash anymore and keep moving.
Okay, perfect, Jeffrey. Well, I totally understand your concern regarding this update on your starting point, and I will be more than happy to assist you with this. Okay. Well, Jeffrey, I just sent you an email that contains the steps in order to update the starting point. Let me know if you already tried those steps.
I tell you what, let's walk through that together because, of course, the other 2 agents did exactly what you just did. They sent me that email. I think that email's outdated. It doesn't work, but let's go ahead and try it just for fun.
Okay.
Well, what do I do first?
Well, let me know if you already are on your Dasher app.
I am.
Great. You have an iOS device, correct? An iPhone.
Correct.
Okay. Let me know if you can see your schedule tab.
I can.
Perfect. And then there is an option that says change my dashing location.
And that's where we hit a roadblock. So on iOS, what it says now is it has schedule across the top, and it has, from Monday through Friday or whatever the days are and the dates. There's underneath that there's an available and a scheduled, and then underneath that there's zones that are nearby that you could dash in. But there's nowhere on that screen that allows you to change your dashing location. There is a gear at the top, which I thought maybe might be helpful.
One eternity later.
So we made $18 down here in Marianna, Florida, and just 2 runs. So they're generous out here. I like that. Both out of McDonald's, both to different places, obviously. Both out of McDonald's. So we are going to attempt to go east now. Unfortunately, as you can see from the map, there are no zones to the east. But we're going to try something different. Rather than call support and get all worked up and panicked, we're just going to drive to the next area and just see what happens when we leave this zone, if something happens when we get closer to the next. If nothing does, we'll wait until we get to the next city. And then if still nothing happens, then we'll reach out to support. All right, guys, so I think we figured it out. I decided I could try airplane mode. Go into airplane mode and come out of airplane mode and see if that would do anything. And then I thought to myself, well, maybe if I just rebooted my phone, because I'm, close enough now to where I should be able to pick up some zones. So I rebooted my phone, and sure enough, all the zones in this area are now popping up. I'm actually in a zone now called probably Quincy, I'm going to guess. Let's see. Yep. But there's nothing going on there. But a whole bunch of other little rural zones popped up that weren't there before. And now those zones over there by Marianna are gone. It's very interesting how... Okay, well, we're back from Tallahassee, and we're headed north from Florida back into Georgia now. We did really well in Tallahassee, college town. And it was nonstop orders, and we made about $66 there, and we made about $33 or so before we got to Tallahassee in those other towns, Enterprise and gosh, whatever that is next to it, I already forgot. They come and go, all these orders. After a while I get home sometimes and I look and I go, wow, did I really make that many deliveries? And was I really at all these places? You don't even remember how many times you go to Chick-fil-A, but we're going north, like I said, back into Georgia, and when we cross the state line, we'll try that trick where we reboot the phone and see if the Georgia zones start showing up, because we still have to work our way a little bit to the east to get to Valdosta for the end of the night. And also, I'd like to make a little bit more than just $99 because we're already behind, and if we don't get a little more in the bucket, it's just going to put us further behind. So wish us luck. Let's move on. Hey, side gig guy here. There was so many things I wanted to include in this video, but it was just starting to get too long. So I'm just going to summarize them here real quick at the end. I'm at the hotel room in Valdosta. Already got my Jack Daniels there. I'm ready to get my drink on, if you know what I mean. That sounds dumb, doesn't it? Maybe I'll cut that out. Anyway, so I got this text here from DoorDash saying that, yes, their systems were messed up, and those diamond orders that I was running through the first day that they launched that high acceptance program, yeah, those, they shouldn't have been putting diamonds on them, so they screwed up anyway. One of the rare times they admitted they were wrong, so we'll give them the pass. And then I wanted to talk about Tallahassee has an hourly program where you can actually get paid by the hour to work for DoorDash. You have a choice. You can pay by the run or pay by the hour. The catch is if you decline more than 2 orders in an hour, it automatically ends your hourly dash, and then you can just go buy the package. You still get to keep all your tips too. So I think in an area where tips were good, that might be the way to go, because the hourly rate was like $13 an hour. And my rule of thumb is I can do 3 of these deliveries an hour if it's busy, if I can stay consistent. It's actually a little bit more than 3, but it's just a shade over. But it's about 20 minutes per delivery. Anyway, I want to talk more about that in another video that I'll do at some other time. For right now, let's just call it a night. We have a huge deficit still, the bigger deficit now because we only made about $99 today. The card up there kind of shows you where we're at. But tomorrow we've got our surprise stop that we're going to make. And then we also are going to DoorDash tomorrow, so hopefully we will make back all the deficit that we have right now. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.